I decided to do my presentation on the phosphorus cycle. My first slide is about the importance on life. Let's start with how the phosphorus cycle affects life. Here I have a quote from Mark Twain. Don't go around saying the world owes you a living. The world owes you nothing. It was here first. I feel like that was a good quote that explains that the phosphorus cycle is life, and it's a part of life, and we have to adapt to it. Not that the phosphorus cycle has to adapt to us, because it won't. It was here first. Phosphorus is important to life because it's part of the composition of our DNA. Additionally, it's the P in ATP, aka the energy currency of life. It's a vital part of cellular respiration and photosynthesis. It's also responsible for teeth and bone formation in humans. It composes part of commercial fertilizer, which is how most of our food is grown. It takes a long time for phosphorus to get reintroduced into the cycle if it's ever in a place with no decomposers, and once new phosphorus is reintroduced into the cycle, it gets snapped up really quickly. It's a really valuable commodity, so it's even more important to life than the other reasons I listed above. For my second slide, I have the steps. Here we look at the various steps that compose the cycle. I have another quote from Vincent van Gogh. Great things are not done by impulse, but by a series of small things brought together. I think this is a really great quote that can be applied to pretty much anything. I mean, I guess there's another quote, Rome wasn't built in a day, but I feel like this one really exemplifies the effort that goes into the cycle and that goes into anything else in life. For this first step, we have weathering. Rain and other forms of weathering break down phosphorus from rocks and into water reservoirs. For the second step, we have absorption. Phosphorus is absorbed into the soil where plants can use it. Some makes its way to above ground water reservoirs, and animals can drink this water. For the third step, we have decomposition. Animals excrete waste that decomposers can use. Dead bodies can be decomposed too, with mineralization. And for the fourth and last step, we have sediments. Phosphorus gets buried in sediment, which turns to rock over time. This is why sedimentary rock is the biggest reservoir of phosphorus. Then the cycle begins again. Here I have a picture that I labeled with the phosphorus cycle. As we can see, the first step is weathering, and then absorption, and then decomposition, and which I added the skull to represent death, and then the final step, sedimentation, and we can see a long arrow leading back to weathering. For my third slide, I have human modifications. We see how we affect the cycle and how we can make amends. My last quote is from Albert Einstein. Two things are infinite, the universe and human stupidity, and I'm not sure about the universe. I think this is really important because it just mind boggles me how important the phosphorus and the nitrogen and the carbon cycles are, and how we just treat it with such disregard, and how it seems like nobody really cares about environmental issues, almost to the point of gaslighting. Sometimes I wonder, is this even a real issue? Because if it is and it's so important, then why aren't people doing anything about it? But I guess human stupidity is a good way to explain that. Humans add phosphorus to the soil to help plants grow. However, with fertilizer runoff, algae can grow excessively and harm marine ecosystems. Without phosphorus fertilizers, though, many people in the world would go hungry. It's a matter of finding balance between what's best for humans and what's best for the ecosystem. What can we do to amend human impact, though? Humans should try to limit the use of chemical fertilizers. Additionally, we need to be more careful with how we apply these fertilizers to farmland to ensure as little runoff as possible is created. Unfortunately, it's not easy to stop using chemical fertilizers. We've relied on them for so long, we wouldn't be able to adjust for the lack of food without using them. There would be a hierarchy on food, and many people in poverty wouldn't be able to afford to eat. There would be resistance from people in positions to benefit from the lack of food or phosphorus. People who don't or choose not to believe in climate change or environmental science do so because it benefits them. These people are mostly CEOs of huge corporations that benefit off of the environment already, such as Exxon. As long as money is being made, there will be resistance to protecting the environment. I believe for the first step to make amends, within the U.S., lawmakers should impose fines for agricultural companies if they don't comply with phosphorus runoff preventative efforts. Secondly, we should also form a dedicated nonprofit committee to enforce the rules and to do random checks. If an NGO or a non-governmental organization performs these actions, there's less chance of corruption to negatively affect the phosphorus cycle and the health of our ecosystems. Finally, we have to not only continue research into the impacts of humans on the various life cycles, we also have to continue educating the general public, executives in positions of power, and politicians of the importance of taking care of the phosphorus cycles. Activists like Greta Thunberg and Vanessa Nakati are already protesting for lawmakers to take actions to protect the environment all over the world. Here are my sources. I found a really great magazine or an online blog from Columbia University called the Earth Institute. Then, of course, Crash Course, the video that we saw in class, and also a YouTube channel called Moo Moo Math and Science. Thank you for listening to my presentation.